Gamers who aspire to be streamers often start out with just their gaming PC and are confused about the best stream settings so that they can game as well as stream on a single PC. Should they stream using software encoding or should they use their GPU's inbuilt encoder? In this video, I will try and answer all these questions. So, let's begin. If you want to stream games, you can either use software encoding or hardware encoding. In software encoding, your processor is used to encode the video, while in hardware encoding, dedicated hardware like NVENC encoder on NVIDIA graphics cards is used to encode the video. The general belief is that the CPU encoding has better video quality and hardware encoding outputs a smooth video stream but at the cost of video quality. Our aim is to have the least impact on gaming performance and to have a video stream that is smooth and has decent clarity. For the test bench, I am using the Intel Core i5-10600K running at stock clocks, the Asus Prime Z490-P motherboard, 16GB of DDR4 3000MHz RAM with XMP enabled and an AMD RX 570 graphics card with 4GB of VRAM. We will be benchmarking gaming performance without streaming, with software encoding and with encoding on the Intel iGPU UHD 630 and encoding on the AMD RX 570. YouTube does not have recommended stream settings, so I have followed the recommended settings by Twitch, which is 1920 by 1080 resolution, 60 FPS and a constant bitrate of 6000 kbps. For benchmarking, I use the MSI Afterburner's internal benchmark tool. All the graphical settings of the games were kept constant. I ran the benchmark thrice and averaged the results. Starting with PUBG, without streaming, the average frame rate is 95 FPS, followed by a tie between Intel QuickSync and CPU encoding. Streaming with AMD AVC has the worst average frame rate. Typically, 1% low and 0.1% lows determine how smooth the game appears to be running. The higher the 1% and 0.1% lows, the smoother the game will feel to play. One interesting observation here is that 0.1% lows are 39% higher when using Intel QuickSync, which is even higher than gaming when not streaming at all. So, PUBG will feel smoothest to play if you are using Intel QuickSync to stream while playing. The second game that we will be benchmarking is CSGO. Streaming with Intel QuickSync gets the highest average FPS, followed by software encoding, while AMD AVC comes last. Comparing 1% and 0.1% lows, gaming with software encoding gives us the best result with a 27% higher frame rate compared to its nearest competitor AMD AVC. But when it comes to 0.1% lows, AMD AVC has a 22% better frame rate compared to software encoding. So, you can either use software encoding or AMD AVC for the best gaming experience during CSGO. The third and the last game that we will be benchmarking is Apex Legends. In Apex Legends, all encoders lend similar average frame rates with no clear winner. 1% lows are tied closely together with software encoding, narrowly beating out AMD AVC. However, 0.1% lows are a different story. Here, software encoding gives us 106% more frame rate when compared to AMD AVC and 16% more frame rate when compared to Intel QuickSync. So if you are going to stream Apex Legends, software encoding is the way to go. Now that we have seen all the data, let us go back to the main question. Should you use software encoding or hardware encoding? At least for a configuration like mine, the answer is software encoding. Software encoding was last only once, and that was in 0.1% lows of PUBG. Only if you have a weaker processor than the Intel Core i5-10600K, you should go for hardware encoding. Given the option between Intel QuickSync and AMD AVC, you should choose Intel QuickSync. AMD AVC has the maximum effect on FPS and it should be your last choice. Now what if you are using an NVIDIA graphics card? Since I do not have an NVIDIA graphics card with me, I do not have the numbers to back my opinion up. But looking at tests performed by other reviewers, NVENC also has some performance impact. The bottom line, the best strategy would be to game using your GPU and stream using your CPU. If your CPU is strong, go for software encoding, and if it is not, go for Intel QuickSync. Of course, if you are in TeamBlue and your processor does have an iGPU. If you are in the market to buy or build a computer on which you can game and stream simultaneously, you should go for a processor that is equivalent or better than the Core i5-10600K. You should then have no problem streaming using software encoding and maintaining good FPS even with a weaker graphics card. I will leave links to all the gameplays when I tested out the encoders in the description box below, so that you can yourself judge the smoothness of gameplay and the quality of the stream. I will also leave a link to the Google Sheet with all the numbers so that you can deep dive into them. I hope you found this video useful. Please leave your thoughts and any doubts that you may have in the comment section below, and I will be happy to discuss them with you. My name is Vaibhav, and I will see you guys in my next video.